Great. Well, welcome to the SetDigit 2024 CXO webinar series. Again, this is part 3 of an ongoing series, and we've had a really great few panel discussions so far. But today we're talking about accelerating revenue growth with AI-powered sales tools. And we're really delighted to partner with HubSpot to bring an engaging session filled with actionable insights. Like, we hope that you really take away some really firm ideas about the way you can leverage AI, AI and strategy to go on with this. Of course, live stream, my timer on my light went off just as I started. But we hope that you'll think about some questions, and we have some dedicated time for a Q&A at the end. So it's going to explore best strategies derived from partnering with really qualified consulting partners and entities, and how you can enhance that with cutting edge technology solutions offered by people like those at HubSpot. So we'll send you the recording afterwards, and we'll be posting it on our LinkedIn. And as I mentioned, we'll do Q&A at the end. And we'll be going through 3 major challenges that sales teams face in today's environment. And that includes sales pressure and economic uncertainty, and as well as market saturation, and how you generate better quality of leads. And to walk us through these challenges, we've got some great folks with us today. My name's Alex, and I will be your host and moderator. I'm a technical program manager, mostly from the enterprise SaaS space, and I'm partnering with SetDigit for this webinar series. And on the phone call today, we also have Miranda Thompson. She's going to be mostly in chat, maybe fielding some questions during the Q&A portion, specifically on the AI content. We also have Alex Rainford. And so I'd like to kick it over to Alex to introduce himself, and then we'll have Michael as well introduce himself from the SetDigit perspective.
Yeah, definitely nice to be on here. Hi, everyone. I'm coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio. Could be nicer weather, but I'll take it. I've been at HubSpot now just a couple of years. I focus on Sales Hub and doing a lot of the marketing for our sales tools. So really excited to be here. Also joined by Alex. So we've had some fun figuring out which Alex we're talking about. But yeah, excited to be here. Miranda's in the chat. And Michael and Alex, I'll pass it back to you.
Thanks for that. Yeah, Michael, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, guys. So my name is Michael Hudlow. I'm the Vice President of Sales at SetDigit. Still a new kid on the block. That's not a Gen X reference, or a pun intended. So I've really spent my career consulting, advising, operating at a large scale for CRM systems, for the infamous Big 4 firms plus Fortune 100 companies, and then most recently, over the last 2 years actually, I've released 2 books on CRM as well, and so it's actually a lot of fun doing talks like this, just because it's just another avenue for me to speak about and get the word out there about CRM systems. And then, so as an introduction to today's conversation, what we're going to be doing is really going over a few strategies, and then some demonstrations about those strategies. And what this is really particular to is that over the last few years, there really has been a huge change in many technologies, but specifically today's conversation, on the CRM front. The expectations of our collective customer base has really changed, and that has to do a lot of the advent or the adoption of all the different social media avenues that people have become familiar with in their personal lives, and then that has really bled over into what is starting to be expected from sales strategies and marketing strategies on the professional side, and it's really about the speed by which individuals, one-person companies, one-person entities, can get out there and perform and reach their consumers. Now, obviously, That's not what we are all about, but that is, in the eyes of our potential customers or our potential opportunities, what they're starting to see in a portion of their own personal lives. And it's even bleeding over. I'm sure many of you on your like LinkedIn channels are starting to get hit with many people introducing themselves to you, and a lot of them, I love networking with professional people, but a lot of them, you can tell pretty quickly, are really just shotgun affecting and hitting as many people as they can, with the hope that they get a hit out of all the volumes that they're putting out there. And that obviously goes true, or is true, for email and spam email and things like that as well. And so what really happens here is that all of us, everyone on this call for sure, you want to compete with the speed by which these smaller entities can move, but you don't want to put out things and have your own company and your own brand be associated with reaching the wrong people. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of their time. So it's, how do serious companies, how do they take advantage of everything that is available to them without, let's just say, crossing the line and starting to do all these slick AI tools that are floating around the internet right now, that can help gather information about people to contact them. How do we proceed? And how do you proceed with making your leads of a high quality using your own internal systems? And in this case, we're going to discuss HubSpot CRM. What can we do that we have control over versus using tools that are just readily available on the open market, where you're not really sure the quality of that information or how that information was gathered. The very next thing, how do we do that? And so we talk about, as Alex already mentioned, the first topic we're going to discuss is, the sales pressure and economic uncertainty. And what do we mean by that? Well, as I just mentioned, there are, it's never been easy to be a salesperson, to be a marketing person working with salespeople, and it's becoming increasingly hard to do that in a highly advanced technical market, especially with all of these, what I call, widgets out there that are hitting the market literally every day. There's probably not a day that goes by that I don't see some AI tool that is promising to do something fantastic for me. And a lot of those companies even, kind of say they're, CRM-esque. They're like, hey, you don't need a CRM. Well, you do, because if you are going to rely on your own information, what you really need to do is take the power of AI and internalize it to your own processes, your own strengths, and identify your own leads based upon your own criteria. So it's all about internal analysis and then looking at your own sales historical data and the current economic indicators. Now, they may come from the outside, but they also can still be filtered and used by your own team. So, what do you think about when you do those types of things? Well, you can look at your own sales strategy, and to compete with expediting the process, you look to align your sales strategy with ways that you can do your business development activities as fast as possible. So what the key thing in this area that we feel is the use of predictive analytics, for proactive decision making based upon your own skill sets and your own service offering. This will do a couple things. Compared to AI tools that are just working on the open market, it mitigates your risks. You're not making decisions based upon things that are outside of your control. You know where the information came from. It's coming from your own CRM system, and it's using your own sales lifecycle workflows. And then ultimately, the enhancement of that performance will supplement your own ability to reach your intended marketplace. And so for that, I would say, Alex, if you would like to go through with HubSpot and just show. Okay, so do you want to go through this slide, Alex? You're just going to right to your demo.
I can jump in. Alex, this is where the two Alexes, it gets us.
Yeah,
Alex,
right.
in the blue shirt, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, well, first, Alex, do you have any comments on what Michael is laying out there? I think there's a lot of good insights there. And before we take a look at like the demonstration of HubSpot's tools itself, is there anything that you'd like to speak to and comment on?
Yeah, definitely. No, I totally agree with what Michael was saying around using predictive analytics, using things like forecasting to better predict your revenue. I think when we do a lot of research at HubSpot as well on just like market in general, what our customers are seeing, what our non-customers are seeing. And I think when we asked in 2023, we asked sales leaders, the number one sort of like issue that they had was actually hitting targets, hitting their quotas. And I think 54% of them said it was harder to actually do that than even the year before. And they're blaming things like, inflation, supply chain issues, and just standing out from the competition in general. So I think having that ability to better predict where you're going to land and leverage the data that's actually, in your CRM, and as Michael said, not just open source, is going to be key, I think, for teams as they're working to progress, through the rest of the year.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and I would
think
add
that's
to
great.
And Alex, what I would add to, I was going to say, Alex, what Alex just said, it makes sense, because the other thing you need to do with a CRM tool is constantly looking at the workflow and align it to all the points just made about the economic environment is also your ability of your CRM system itself to be able to turn and twist and to be customized or configured to meet those needs. And obviously, the easier your system to work with also allows you to be agile.
Perfect. I think you can see my screen. So I'm just going to jump into HubSpot very, very quickly. We've got like 3 different sections here. Just a short demo to kind of go through some of the things that we have available in HubSpot that kind of layer up and ladder up to what Michael and Alex were discussing. So landed in HubSpot right now, the first thing I want to quickly do is head over to the data side of things, right? And so I'm going to go to forecast. So what we just talked about in terms of, evaluating your projection against future performance and AI and things like that, this is where in HubSpot, we've seen a lot of teams have some really good success with, forecasting, helping them predict their numbers and then helping them plan and adjust as well, depending on how things are going. So this is like the manual kind of forecast chart you're probably used to. You go in, you can see the different stages, you can see what are the forecasted amounts, and then obviously you would go in and complete a forecast submission here. The thing that we wanted to quickly touch on was this AI forecasting module. And what this is going to do is it's going to take a look at all of the data you have in your CRM. As Michael said, it's not, going on this open source and looking at other places. It's looking at your data, and it's going to give you an upper and a lower limit of where it thinks you're going to end up each month. And it's going to do that on a 7 and a 14 and a 21 day sort of basis. And as you're kind of progressing, as you're, putting in more data, moving deals around, closing deals, it's actually going to get more accurate the more you use it. So this is definitely, I think, one of the key things that we've seen people leverage to kind of, balance a little bit of that economic uncertainty and sales performance as well. So forecasting is a big one. The other big ones I wanted to touch on are just standard, sales analytics and sales reporting tools, right? So if you come in here, we're in HubSpot. There's obviously, a variety of reports that exist right out of the box. I'll show you a couple of my favorites quickly that we've seen teams really leverage this year, and then I will touch on some of the customization options as well. So big one here when we're talking about how you measure performance, specifically here in prospecting, is the lead funnel. Now, this is a report that's actually going to go through the 2 big things in Sales Hub are obviously leads and deals, and it's going to take a look at how your leads are progressing through the journey, right? What stage are they falling off? How long are they sitting in certain stages? How long is it taking our reps to actually reach out and make that first connection? So that way, when you're kind of working those different leads, you can get a really good idea of how they are performing. Only other cool one I will show you really quick, because I know we are short on time, is sales velocity. So sales velocity is actually a relatively I think, new metric in terms of popularity, because one, we all want salespeople to obviously close more deals. We also want the deals to be larger as well, and to be greater in revenue. So what sales velocity is going to do is it's going to take a look at, not only how long are deals taking to close, but what's the size of those deals. So you don't have to kind of go in and decipher, who's the fastest rep at closing deals, but who closes the most amount of deals. This is going to take that, put it into a bit of a formula, and calculate the sales velocity you can see here for some of your different reps. So a really cool report, I think, that gives you sort of a different look at how your performance is trending. All right, last thing I will.
Alex,
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, what I was going to say, and sorry for interrupting you, it's just, it's pretty cool and makes you think. But, what I was also going to say is, with particular to AI, there is the notion out there by many people. Some people are extremely skeptical of it. Some people are scared. They think it's the doomsday machine coming because they don't understand it. What is very nice about tools like this are the fact that, and I'm thinking about for all you leaders out there, that this AI engine, you can understand what it is doing and how it is doing it. And you have resources such as where I'm coming from SetDigit, you have resources such as HubSpot that can further explain the logic behind it. So, a lot of people think that AI is this wizard behind the curtain and don't understand it. And therefore, quite frankly, the more senior, the more advanced, such as myself, that people get, they become hesitant to rely on it because they don't understand it. They know it's an answer, but since they don't see it on a spreadsheet, it becomes more difficult. And that's completely understandable. But when you use AI engines that are built using your information in a system that you have control over, it becomes much more understandable and therefore trustworthy, because these numbers are just numbers on dashboards. People still have to make human decisions. And the better they're trusted, the better decisions will actually not be made, but also be acted upon. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Alex.
No, 100%. That's a great point. And a great segue too is, this is how I was going to quickly end it, was the AI report builder. So obviously you can go in and create sort of any report you want. You can actually use, rich text here and just, do prompt engineering to generate reports. And Michael brought up a great point about AI. I think the page for HubSpot, it's called, it's like Behind HubSpot AI. You can Google it and it'll actually show you by feature within HubSpot, not just for sales, but for any of them, how they're actually generating the data, how AI is working and things like that. So if you really, really, really want to dig in on the weeds, that is a great place to start. But I think, Alex, I am passing it back to you. Let me give you back the controls here. Yes. Change to you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, hopefully you can all see my screen again now. Yeah, thank you very much for that really great discussion. And the struggle with this is that really there's so much to talk about on each of these points that we'll have too much to say. But I think that was an excellent overview and a good combination of the way you start to sync up your strategy and your strategic thinking around AI with tools that are giving you practical results. But in the interest of moving along, we'd like to move on to our next challenge here, our next challenge that I think is top of mind for a lot of sales leaders and sales teams generally. Is that high market saturation, it's increasing competition. It makes it difficult for businesses to stand out. And AI, in some ways, it's the solution, but it also compounds this problem, because just as it allows your team to scale, it allows other teams to scale as well. And so companies struggle to maintain their market share and attract new customers. Michael, would you like to kind of lead us into discussion around this point, in particular what you've seen out there with your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can go to the next slide, it'll be probably a good thing. I'm not going to read slides, guys. I'm going to talk to them, but it makes more sense to be on the next. There you go. So thank you. So yeah, I mean, going, as obviously as we're continuing down this theme, it's all about the speed of your route to market, right? And it's about making better decisions, and it's about making better decisions to get to the right answer, to get to the right people before your competition. Look, at the end of the game, you can see it kind of, I guess it's over this shoulder. if you are doing any of these things, and this is one of the topics I cover in my own books, or it's actually a lot of what I cover in my books, is about, you know, increasing your ROI with regards to the CRM systems themselves, the processes, the time effort, the work effort, and everything surrounding those things. You have to always be saying, I am doing this, whether it's a process change or a technical change, to increase sales, to reduce cost, about hard dollars, not about kind of sort or isn't this slick, and it's going to have to improve things if I do it this way. It's the wrong way to be thinking about things, and you don't want to be doing any of these things just because you heard somebody down the street is doing them. You need to do them to improve pain points that you have now, or known pain points you're going to have because you're trying to grow your business. You're trying to go from 1x to 10x, or whatever the case may be. The way to find those things, quite frankly, is to have an experienced group of people work with your own internal experienced group of people to understand the processes and the tools that you use now. And then make recommendations that fit your goals. So what we're talking about here is, AI is going to give you better information, and it's hopefully going to give you more insights. But that information, think about it, could have been done manually. It would have just taken a long time, and maybe even so much time that it wouldn't be relevant anymore. So really what we're talking about with all of this, with market saturation, I spoke, I'll give you an example about sales. And once again, I'm making a small scale example, but it'll be easily to extrapolate it out to the larger scale that we're all talking about. Past Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, I've heard so many times people say, it's like, oh my God, I just picked this up on Facebook Marketplace or TikTok Shop or Temu or whatever the case may be. And you're going to say, dude, this is not relevant to me. But it's not necessarily relevant to any of us here talking today, other than it's setting expectations of other people, your vendors, not necessarily in the world that you were working in, but it is setting in the back of their mind expectations how things happen. And so look, we're not going to go down that shop, and you're not going to start doing your business in any one of those platforms, probably. But you do have to compete with the speed by which you make decisions, and then 2, targeting the right niche markets to get to and present your quality solution to a quality opportunity, and then move forward. So really what we're talking about now is, how do we automate routine tasks, manual tasks that are sucking up your professionals' time and ultimately their efficiency, and use tools in these smart CRM systems. HubSpot is awesome at doing this, to get rid of repetitive manual tasks, right? To automate things, quite frankly, that either people aren't good at doing or people hate doing, and then turn them into things that are just kind of happening automagically, and then allowing your people to target their time and energy on making the decisions on the things that we were just talking about in the section before about forecasts. So exactly. You really have to focus on, high impact things that drive growth, of where you can implement AI for the sake of making all of those things better. And that does include targeting markets that possibly are unexplored by you, or ones that haven't been serviced by you, and allowing AI to supplement the manual research that would have had to do previously, and now turn it into something that is happening all the time for you to make decisions today, as opposed to weeks into the future, or reactionary. And so I guess one of the Alexes, I'll turn it back to you guys and see.
I'll take this one. Yeah, I'll hand it over to Alex Rainford from HubSpot. But yeah, just a quick comment there as I do so, is that that's coupling that strategy and those process improvements, and understanding the reason you're using this technology is how you start to unlock AI to help you take it from efficiency into productivity. And in one of our previous webinar series, as part of this CXO series, we went into depth on that. So I suggest you go and check out that recording, where we had a really great talk about how you do that, about about the difference between efficiency and productivity, and the way AI tools really unlock efficiency, but you have to have the right processes and strategy to translate that into productivity. And on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Alex Greenford to kind of show us what some of this looks like in practice, and how this, and you can kind of imagine some of the art of the possible here for how you could translate this into productivity gains in your own business.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Let me pull back into HubSpot here. So totally agree with the points about automating routine tasks. So I'll show you a couple things that have a little bit of AI flavor on the deal side of things. Then I'll get into some of the company research, some of the content generation that Michael was talking about earlier. So for this first one, I've landed back here in Sales Hub, and I am on the deal board, something that I think everyone could be familiar with, no matter what CRM you're using. So you can kind of see we've got different stages, different deals, all sort of sat in here. But one thing I wanted to show you quickly was deal score. So if I'm a manager, if I'm someone that's looking and I have a team of people working a variety of deals, I want to be able to quickly see, how are those deals progressing? What's my team been doing recently? What are some of the ways I can maybe help? And that way here is deal score. So you can see I've got this nice fake deal here. It's generated a deal score 1 to 100. This one has a 14, so it's not doing too hot. But what it's done is it's looked at several key factors, right? How's my customers been interacting in the deal? When's the last time my rep reached out to them? How long has it sat in this stage? And it's going to use AI to kind of put that into a different score, and it's going to track that for you right here. So as a manager, I can actually come into my deal board, I could go to my team's view, and I could very quickly just say, okay, let me see the lowest deal scores first. I don't have to go through and, as Michael was saying, waste a lot of that time where I'm looking into the different deals, I'm looking at the activities. I can go in and actually just quickly see exactly where the deals are standing, right? So that is a really, really hugely helpful one. One more quick one when we're talking about AI would be conversation intelligence and the coaching playlist. So a lot of times we see that managers, especially on the sales side of things, and leaders, they focus a lot of their energy on coaching reps, on listening in on sales calls and things like that. HubSpot has this great feature here called conversation intelligence. And what it's going to do is it's going to record those calls and kind of give you sort of a summarization of, okay, here were some of the key questions that were asked by the rep. Here are some of the key terms. And even as a manager, as a trainer, or as a leader, you could go and say, let me string together some really successful calls in a little playlist and use that for sales training. So really, when it comes to looking at, I think, your deals and then also coaching your reps, these are two key areas where you can leverage AI to really take some of that busy work out of the equation and get you back and focused to what actually matters, which would be, improving sales. All right, two more quick things. The first one is content generation. So now I've actually jumped into Gmail here just to kind of give you a little flavor of the HubSpot integration. Let's say I'm a rep and I need to come up with a good way to reach out to Michael to sell him the latest whatever I'm selling. I can come in here and I can actually just click right from Gmail or Outlook or the mobile app, and I can generate a sales email. And I can actually do it right here. I'm selling as a chief Apple officer. Why my apples are the best. You can even select the tone. And what HubSpot's going to do is actually generate that email for you. You can generate different ones, you can insert new content, and you can really tweak it and prompt engineer it to give you fast, really relevant content that you can use to make that outreach to people. All right, one last one, if I can cram one more in here, is ChatSpot. Now, you don't have to use HubSpot for this. You can actually go check it out right now. Just Google ChatSpot. It's free to use. And this is a fantastic place to do company research, to write sales emails, generate images and things like that. One of the things that's really, really cool is you can come in here and you can research companies. So we could come in here and we could say, show me stuff about HubSpot. And it's going to give you information on things like when we first started, the different tools we use, what are the products we have. So if I'm a rep, if I'm someone that I'm doing company research, I can actually come in here and just very, very quickly speed up the research that I'm doing, along with a lot of other prompts. And the best part is that you can actually add all of this to your CRM right from here. So those are kind of, I think, 4 key areas, Michael, when you were talking about automating routine tasks with AI, that I think HubSpot can really solve for it there.
Thanks for that, Alex. That's really great. I think I think all of this is really cool to see like the real world examples and to see how slick these tools really can be and how they can hopefully they inspire people as to how you could use them in for your own use cases to help you unlock some of those productivity gains. But at the end of the day, scaling up your systems, helping you speed up the time, helping your teams do more with their work hours. It's still the bottleneck is quality of leads, and many businesses are struggling with acquiring high quality leads. It's kind of an ever-present struggle, really. But in this day and age, your competition is going to be finding newer and leading-edge ways of targeting higher quality leads faster. And so you want to be on the same page as them. Michael, do you have some opening insights you'd like to kick us off with here for this challenge?
This is actually a very complex topic, and when we started out this webinar, I mentioned the fact about all these AI tools out there right now. And when you think about the quality of leads, there are really, in my view, 2 components to this. The acquisition of leads from some outside source potentially, as opposed to people who stop by your booth or whatever, and then there is also the processing of leads inside of your system to make them higher quality. And I think it's I'm going to focus, and believe Alex is going to focus more on the lead management and the lead scoring side that quite frankly we have control over within the HubSpot CRM system. But Alex, since you brought it up, I would just be be very conscious and wary of leads nowadays. I mean, we've all seen, I'm sure, the ability to find people's email addresses and other information about them, despite the fact that you're not knowing that person or it not being publicly available, like on LinkedIn or wherever you're looking. There are, I predict, there's going to be a lot of pain in that place in the future, especially since the May of 2018 when GDPR came out in Europe and other privacy law came out. So I would just say, obviously, get your leads wherever you get your leads and just do it in the most the way that best fits your style. But I would just say, just watch out because it can be dangerous. It can be a slippery slope, and there are associated risks with using acquired lists. Now, I'll just leave it at that. This is not meant to be a school session. Now, the good news though is when you pull in leads from a list, let's just from a convention that you went to, and it's an acquired list that you have access to. When you pull that into a smart system such as HubSpot CRM, and you have all your processes working that we've just discussed previous to this, that the system itself is then able to, using tools such as lead management and lead scoring, is able to use and identify the highest potential prospects that you have there based upon any kind of known behaviors, the demographics of them, their engagement patterns. Your marketing team will be able to create buyer personas and bucket them into different containers, and then be able to market to them based upon AI assisted decisions about what is most likely going to be the best way to go down that path for that particular person based upon many different criteria. Additionally, you're also able to nurture those leads more efficiently with AI by things that Alex just showed about the content creation within emails or other communication strategies and workflows that you may make. Once again, you can do that, automated, or have AI make recommendations that this is what I think you should do. And then also, I mentioned just a few seconds ago about AI, the lead qualification process built into your own corporate, marketing and sales workflow. AI algorithms can assess those leads and then rank them. And Alex just showed you about that ranking on that one, to make it, help you target those things. Now, the only thing I will say to all of those things is that your management team has to believe in that information. They have to respect where it's coming from, and then obviously use that information to make better, faster decisions. I mean, if all these things are in place, and you could be, having all your processes redone and all these amazing tools being used by you, but the humans that are using the system also have to be trained to understand, respect, and utilize these things, or it will fall apart. So I was just trying to highlight there is a continuum that needs to be addressed and adopted for all of these things to work to the level that they were intended by quite frankly, by the developers. And then lastly, obviously, deep process review has to be done usually. I mean, it has to be done, and it is usually something that does not take long. But when you do a process review, you can also turn your processes into best practices and then convert those best practices into technical workflow that uses AI. And then you've really supercharged your marketing and your sales platform. And that's there you go, Alex, is all you.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. Yeah, and so as you've probably been looking at on screen here, we're going to take a look now, I think, at HubSpot's predictive lead scoring tools and their prospecting workspace, both of which are very cool, and Alex can comment on them further along the way here.
Definitely. Let me pull that up right here. Okay, perfect. So I have just dropped us back into HubSpot for the last time here, and I have pulled up the prospecting workspace. So as Michael was saying, when we typically are looking and we're talking about the relationship between sales and marketing, the handoff between them is so key, and that whole process of going from an MQL to an SQL to a deal, all just needs sort of some of those processes that Michael was outlining there. So I'll actually just start in the prospecting workspace. So what this is essentially, this is like a home base for a BDR, XDR, full funnel AE to spend their time as they're going through and they're working leads, they're making calls, sending emails, enrolling people in sequences. This is a centralized place to do a lot of that prospecting. Big thing I wanted to quickly touch on were leads. So Michael touched on processes a lot here, and I think HubSpot has a very solid foundation in terms of lead management and deal management. Now, for leads, you can come in here and let's say, with Michael's example, Sheila came from a trade show. We could actually have her brought into the system through workflows, through lead form routing and things like that. But let's say she came in, and as I'm starting to work Sheila, I'm asking her, hey, did you enjoy the conference? Check out this demo, that sort of thing. As we're doing that, we have automations built in that will actually move her along the MQL to SQL process. Now, once we get to connected here, we're ready to almost move her to a deal. I can actually qualify or disqualify a lead from here. So as soon as I was ready to say, what, this conference went really, really well. Sheila loved the demo. She checked out our website. However you've set up your qualification process, I can come in here and I can actually make a deal right from here, and it will take all of that information and move it over to that deal board you saw earlier. So just a really, really, really popular feature here as well. Now, one thing that we touched on earlier was forecasting, and I know we were going to talk about scoring. So if you jumped over to the contacts side of things here, now depending on how good my fake lead management was earlier, you will be able to see here, let's see. Oh yeah, you'll be able to see likelihood to close scores, right? So this person, obviously, I have not set that up, but that's okay. Because what you can do is you can go in as the CRM admin and you can go and set different rules and different conditions and criteria to ultimately put together a scoring structure that works for you, that works for your business, and then ultimately will give your reps just a fast way to identify how likely someone is to close. All right, I will squeeze one more last one in here, and I think this one is really popular when it comes to prospecting, and that is sequences, right? So sequences are a series of customer-facing emails, internal tasks, calendar invites, all sorts of things that are basically used by sales teams to get someone through that sales process. So a good example, you can kind of come in here and you can say it was that trade show conference. I could create a sequence that I could then send to attendees that would maybe start with an automated email. It would then give my reps a task. It would then give them an appointment and things like that. You can actually come in here and even A/B test different messaging within that sales sequence. So you aren't just sending sales reps, into the wild with no messaging templates or things like that. You're giving them that structure that they need to be able to work different leads based on where they are in the journey and what will be most impactful for them. So I would say, as far as process improvements and lead management, those are probably the key ones you would want to take a look at in Sales Hub. So Alex, I think I will pass it up back to you to wrap things up.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think we've had a really quick overview, and like I said earlier, is we could really spend an entire webinar I think on any of these challenges, but we wanted to give a kind of a nice broad wide range of discussion to address some of these most common concerns and challenges. And you can certainly learn more from Set Digit's blog too. If you find us on LinkedIn, you'll find a link to our blog where we have a lot of in-depth articles about some of these challenges for you to consider, and particularly how to address them through technology solutions, and coupling that with strategic partners like Set Digit, and how companies like ourselves can be good partners to have and have that really horizontal view across the sales landscape. And Michael, any closing thoughts before we see if there's any questions?
Just thanks for everyone's time, and Alex, as you just pointed out, I mean, anyone, if you want to just talk about a potential issue, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm not going to give you the hardcore sales pitch. It's quite frankly, I like networking with people and talking about their problems in this area. So please feel free to reach out to me, and that's really all.
Yeah, so please, for anyone who's on the call, feel free to put your questions in chat. Stuart, who is one of our facilitators, feel free to put in chat anything you might be seeing from the live stream area itself. One question I see here is, so how do you go about generally preparing a team to adopt these technologies and prepare them for AI in the workplace? I think that is a pretty good question that I could turn it over to. I'll turn to Alex Greenford. Do you maybe have any insights on that? And then we'll pass it over to Michael as well to have a crack at that one. How you go about preparing teams for this kind of maybe change in mentality, or how to quickly adopt these tools? How do you, maybe this is kind of an enablement question?
I mean, Michael wrote the book on it, but I can give my 1-2 cents would be that I think one of the things that I've always seen be successful is finding an internal champion first. So finding someone who's really eager in sales or in your team to try that new technology, getting them to battle test it, and then getting them to show the results, and kind of using that internal champion to drive implementation. But I know, Michael, you were raising your hand, so I want to make sure you get a chance to answer that.
I did, and I was really rude there, wasn't I? No, so look, guys. First off, whoever asked that question, or if several people asked that question, please reach out to me. I would love to just, like I said, just have a talk with you, because this is a very big topic. And here's I'll just make this really brief, and I'll sum it up in 7 hours. No, I'm joking. So here's really what goes on. And technology is almost never the problem. Okay, and I think a lot of people have to understand that. And what I mean by that doesn't mean that it's not going to be an effort to make it work in your world. Of course, there's going to have to be work that's done in that regard. But at the end of the day, I've made a career over the last, 10 plus years, I say, of taking companies that have had issues after a year or two or three of using CRMs, and the system really just isn't meeting the expectations before them. And it's not, in my opinion, it's not the fault of HubSpot or any of their, quite frankly, their competition. It is usually has to do with adoption related issues and the setting of expectations of the individual users. And that really can manifest itself in a few different ways. It can be users that are concerned that their jobs are being removed. As Alex said about finding a champion, unless you are let's just say, unless you are, a couple hundred person company or less, you need multiple champions. You need to identify all of the people that have influence over the processes that this system will be working within, and get all of their buy-in, because the invisible person that does not support your system behind the scenes is going to be your nemesis, and you might never ever know that person unless you get them on your side, not just as a champion. I would recommend pulling them in, and it's kind of like get the hardest person you can think of that you think is going to be to convince, and get them on board before you do anything. There's a lot more to it, and then as Alex said, I literally wrote, my first book is on that topic almost exactly, and I expected it to be 150 pages and ended up being 500, so that kind of tells you something there. But the human side of adoption is enormous. It can be overcome, and there are some very common things that anyone can do to not make those big mistakes.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, well, next time we'll just have a live stream of you reading from your book. We'll just do the audio book. How about that? And just kidding there, Michael, of course. Thank you for that really comprehensive answer. That was great. And we do have I think we have time for one more question before we go
to sleep. Yeah.
Too far over. How can HubSpot, let's see, what is this? This is from the live stream questions, it looks like. How has HubSpot dealt with hyper personalization? Does that resonate with you, Alex Rainford?
I can take that one. I won't speak to HubSpot's overall company strategy, but I think from a product perspective, I think there's two angles. One on the marketing side, I think in automation in general, you've seen a huge increase in things like personalization tokens, really complex, email branch and nurture campaigns with aggressive, A/B testing and things like that. So a very robust segmentation strategy that involves a lot of personalization tokens, which obviously needs a solid data foundation to begin with. That's probably from the marketing side, how I would, discuss hyper-personalization. From the sales side, a lot of it comes from things like Content Assistant, things like ChatSpot, being able to, what used to take forever, research and write a nice personalized outreach email to Michael, if I was trying to do that, can be done much quicker now. So I think bringing that sort of generative AI into content development and content creation for outreach and communication is probably the other area where we've seen hyper-personalization really be prominent on the sales side of things.
Nice. Great. Well, thank you very much for that. I think we will leave it there for now, but thank you both so much for your time. It's really excellent getting to hear from your perspectives, both from the technology side and from the strategy side, Michael. Everyone should check out HubSpot and their products. If you haven't, you definitely should look into them. Maybe reach out to Alex Rainford to connect on LinkedIn for questions about that, along with Miranda Thompson. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Michael, people can reach out to you, I think, through LinkedIn as well, and connect with us at SetDigit on LinkedIn. And yeah, thank you all for your time today. It was really nice talking about this.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.